Okay, I'm going to show you how to create the bar graph using the data that I sent you via email or that's available on the wiki. So here's that data. Again, here's the data points that I deleted. Don't be offended, it just made our averages better. So what I'm going to do is there's two ways you can do this. You can click in a blank square and go to the Charts tab, Column, Clustered Column. That's going to give you a blank graph screen. The other way you can do that is click anywhere inside the data. Again, column, clustered column. This one's going to give you every single data point in here. So I don't really care which one you do. You move that down so you can see your data. Make sure that chart's selected and you go to Chart Source Data. You want to get rid of all those little lines, so you're just going to click Remove, and it's going to delete the lines and give you a blank graph to start with. So if you don't feel like doing that, you can just click on the blank square and it'll give you a blank graph. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add two lines. I'm going to create two bars. So I'm going to click Add. I'm going to name it. I'm going to get the name from right here. So I'm just going to call this bar/cylinder. The Y values are actually is only one. It's just the average density. So I'm going to click the bar cylinder average density and hit Enter. And that now is recording that number. Then before I click OK, I'm going to add the second bar, which would be the coil. And again, I'm going to click that little button, just the cell that contains the average density, and enter. And if I click OK, you can see that we now have two bars. So one bar that's going to give you the cylinder because it's color coded, and one that's going to give you the coil, the density of the coil. You can, if you want, change these colors. If you print this out in black and white, maybe somehow make sure I know which one's the bar and which one's the coil. If this little number shows up there, you just click on it and hit delete. That'll get rid of that because you don't really need anything down in that section. Next, what I'm going to do, since I have the two bar graphs here, the standard deviation, remember, is the highest and lowest. So that is going to change a little bit because we did get rid of those data points. So with the cylinder, it's going to be the highest 2.92 and the lowest 2.60. Again, you can do that by hand, but if I look at this graph, the difference between 2.9 and 2.6 is not going to be a very big difference. So what I can do is go into, I have to remember, Format. I'm sorry, I got to click into here. Okay, I have to click on the things. What I did there is you have to click on the actual data points and hit Format Axes. And what's going to happen is it's going to come up with the scale. So I would leave the min and max at 10 and 0, but here is where you can change the scale. So if you see that, look what happened to the graph. So if I make it 0.5 and click OK, it then gives you a little bit more room, and then you can even make the graph bigger between 2.9 and 2.6. You can do that as much as you want in there, Format Axes, but I do think if you do it too small, you can see it gets a little hairy. But if you wanted to do it 0.2, again, you can see the difference between 2.9 and 2.6. The other thing you can do is if you go in Axes again, you can make it bigger if you would like. So you can do by 2s. You can do it by 5s, whatever it may be, but that's going to go ahead and edit your scale. I'm going to go ahead and put it back to 0.5, and there we go. From here, I told you can either screen grab it with the Jing or you can copy and paste it. One more thing you probably should do before you do that, it can be handwritten, but it's easier this way. Notice you don't have a title or axes titles, so I'm going to go to Chart Layout, and you see these choices here. I can go Chart Title above, and you can call this, like we talked about, graph number 1, average densities with standard deviation. And then you can do axes vertical and call this density, and then in parentheses the unit, which is grams per milliliter. That way you actually don't even have to do it on Word. It's already on the graph, it's already here, and when you copy and paste it, it'll just go in. Alright, have fun graph making.